Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a new video. So what we're doing in tonight's video is actually changing the exhaust. I have been running the AWE Touring for a while now. I went on a whole exhaust escapade, basically trying all different types of exhausts, seeing what I liked, because I am running equal length headers. So I wanted to find the perfect exhaust that sounded really good with that setup. So if you guys don't know, I'm running Killer Bee equal length headers with the Grimsby catted downpipe and currently running the AWE Touring. I also tried the Cobb titanium exhaust. Before that, I had a Delta Motorworks catback. It was non-resonated, no mufflers, nothing. Then right after that, I tried the Delta Motorworks resonated version. They all sounded really good, but ultimately I landed on the AWE Touring, which is on the car right now. And the great part about AWE exhaust is you're allowed to change. There's two different versions. There's the Touring, which is the more quiet version. So there's big mufflers in the back, and then we have the track version. Basically, it's just that. It's no mufflers. It's just a muffler delete, basically. Now, you may think, oh, your Delta Motorworks setup was very similar to this. Why are you trying this one? The Delta Motorworks setup was a non-resonated mid-pipe with a muffler delete. AWE actually has a small resonator in the mid-pipe, so it is going to be a little bit quieter. At least that's what I'm hoping for. And there's not going to be as much drone, so we will see. One of the reasons why I got rid of the Delta setup was because it had crazy amount of drone. So I'm curious to see how much different it is from the Touring. Now the Touring right now has 0 drone. It's quiet when you need it, loud when you want it. It has a great tone. It sounds amazing. I love it. But one of the things I did notice about the Touring after experiencing it for a while on my setup is it kind of, it's very high pitched. It doesn't have as deep of a note as it used to. We will see what it sounds like. I'm kind of hoping it brings back some of the bass, some of the deeper tones. Yes, it's going to be louder. There's no question. But I'm really curious to hear how much louder and how much different it is from the Delta setup. Now, I picked these up used, as you can tell. I'll tell you a reason as to why they're two different colors in a second. But you can go right to the AWE and purchase the Touring mufflers or the track mufflers, whichever one that you need. And the track version is $285, and I think going to the Touring is almost $500, or I forget what it is. So going from the track to the Touring is a little bit more expensive, but I decided to pick these up used, mainly because these pipes are actually on back order for a while. And one of my subscribers actually hit me up. I said I was interested in trying out a track version, and he said, hey, I got one. So I picked it up from him, and they're here. So I'm going to try them out. So all we're doing tonight is just swapping it over. It's a very, very simple install. It's just literally the clamps on the mid pipe here. We're going to slide them on. They're all slip joints. So we're going to slide it right onto the mid pipe, and then we're going to transfer over the tips. Another thing that I noticed about these as well is this only uses 1 hanger each. On the Touring, it uses 2 hangers a side. So you're only going to need 1 bushing per side. And I'm curious how much different this fits, because the Touring, the tips are actually slammed up against the bumper, and it actually wore away some of the finish on the black chrome tips. But either way, I'm not too worried about that. These are obviously much lighter, so you're gonna lose some weight, but that is not a reason why I went with them. But if anybody is curious, it is the AWE. They have the little logo right here. It says AWE Track Edition. So if you notice, this one's a little bit shinier than this one. I actually ended up cleaning this one up a little bit, just so I was able to show you the difference of how, I got them, and I just figured I would clean it up a little bit. I wasn't going for perfection or anything. I just kind of wanted to, make it a little bit nicer and know that it was cleaned prior to putting it on the car, because I really don't like buying used parts. I usually buy everything new. Just so I know the history of it and there's no stories behind any of the parts that I got. So everything on the car here is brand new, actually, except for the kicker subwoofer in the trunk. That was used, but that's one of those things I didn't mind buying used. Everything else is new. So this is the second piece I've ever got that is used on the car, which I don't mind. It's literally just exhaust pipes. All the welds are perfect. The hangers are good. There's no bends or dents or anything, no scratches. So we're in good shape. So I got these relatively cheap. I picked them up for $100 shipped, which is incredible. I'm really happy about that. If they were, $250 used, I would have just bought a new set, but for $100 shipped, I figured why not? Let's try them out. Now I have both versions. So if I feel like being obnoxiously loud, I can swap over to these. If I feel like being a little bit more quiet, a little bit more tame, I have the Touring mufflers I can just throw on. So before we go to throw them on, I'm going to give you a little bit of an exhaust clip, just a cold start. Before I turned the car around, I actually got a clip of starting up the car after 2 days of not driving it. So you can get an idea of what it sounds like with the touring setup. So let's get these on. I'm not gonna really walk you through it. I'll show you just some clips of me taking it off and transferring everything over. But before we throw this on the car, I'm gonna go ahead and clean up this side so it's matching. And we got a nice clean AWE track edition muffler to put on the car. So it's not all dirty and everything. And yeah, so let's go ahead, clean this one up, and then we'll get to installing it on the car. So if you guys are curious about what I use to clean up the exhaust pipes, this is the only turtle wax product that I've probably ever liked and really ever used. I mean, I've used it in the past, maybe like 20 years ago, but this is good stuff. It's pretty decent. And I think the only reason why I got this was because it was the only thing on the shelf, literally like 10 years ago. One of my actual favorite metal polishes is by Mothers. It's called Mag and Illume Cleaner. It's in a little, it's like in a little tub, little container. I think I actually went out to get that, but they didn't have it, and this is all they had, so I grabbed this literally, 15 years ago or so. So it's been a long time since I had this, but it does the job. It gets metal clean very, very well. You really don't have to do too much scrubbing, and it gets everything fairly clean pretty quickly. You don't have to use much elbow grease. It's great on exhaust tips and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's solely what I've used it on over the years. But okay, let's go ahead. Like I said, I'm gonna clean this up real quick on this side one more time, just to kind of match that side, and then we'll get to installing it. So I'm gonna remove that, swap the tips over, and we'll be set. All right, so we got the touring mufflers off. You can see the finish is rubbing off here. Let's see. Mainly, yeah, it's on this side the most, which is not a big deal since it's pretty much hidden when it's on the car, but still a little bit disappointing since I was hoping the fitment would be a little bit better on an AWE exhaust. But either way, it does tuck up really nicely. I was thinking about getting longer bushings, longer exhaust hangers, so it kind of sits a little bit lower. But now that it's scratched up and kind of rubbed off a little bit, I don't know if I'm gonna do that because then it'll be seen. I could just pick up some new tips, but they're pretty pricey, I think. They're like $200 or $300 just for tips, I think. I'll have to look into it. Maybe cheaper. If they are cheaper, I'll pick some up and I'll do that longer exhaust hanger. But for now, we're just gonna stick with it. But as you can see, comparing side by side, it's, the only difference is the muffler part. So this is just removed on that. So it's just a straight through pipe. So it is going to be louder. I am expecting drone as I explained, but we'll see. I mean, I am looking for a little bit more bass, a little bit more tone. So I'm curious to see how much louder and better sounding this is. So let me go ahead, swap the tips over, and then we can get the bushings on. Again, as you can see, there's two hangers on the touring version. There's only one on the front of the track edition, mainly because these things are so light, you don't need the extra support, which is easier to install because you only have to do one bushing. I will suggest, I have suggested this in the past, if you don't have an exhaust bushing plier tool, go pick one up. It is a lifesaver. Taking those things off by hand is a nightmare if you've ever done it before. I have done it in the past. It absolutely sucks. So definitely pick up that tool if you're interested. I'll leave a link to it in the description below if you are interested. But let's go ahead, swap the tips over and get it installed on the car. All right, guys, install is complete. Everything went well, except two of the clamps actually broke. So I don't know what was up with these, but I didn't torque them too much, but overall they got seized or something. I don't know, but they broke. So unfortunately, I can't run the inner tips for a day. I ordered new clamps, so they'll be here tomorrow. So I'll be able to tighten up the inner tips on either side. So unfortunately, I have to roll tomorrow with one tip on each side. It's going to kill me, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it's just aesthetics, so it's not going to affect the way it sounds or performs or anything like that. But yeah, I was kind of shocked. This exhaust has been on the car for, I don't know, I want to say maybe a month or two. And I'm already having those issues with the rubbing as well as the clamps breaking off. Which kind of sucks, but I mean, it's not a big deal. It's just a clamp. Kind of puts a bump in the road. It's so silly. It was the simplest thing. And of course, something's got to happen. But overall, it's installed. Everything is good. Can't really see it underneath, but there you go. They're installed. They're on. As you can see, the inner tip doesn't have a clamp. The other side doesn't either. But yep, it's on. So let's do a quick little startup. Hopefully, it's not too loud because it's 10 o'clock at night. So we shall see. If it's going to shake some dishes in my cabinets, which it probably will. But yeah, let's do a quick little startup and then we'll wrap this video up. All right, guys, so that's all I got for you guys tonight. I got my one tip on each side. Ugh, it's gonna drive me nuts tomorrow. But you guys may be wondering why I ordered on Amazon and not from AWE. Well, I went to AWE to pick up the exact same clamp and it was $64 for two clamps. And the reason for that, the shipping was like 30 something dollars. And each clamp was like $13 or $14. I was like, no way, even I have my limits. I wasn't paying $64 for two metal clamps. Granted, I'll probably end up getting them or something down the road. I did not feel like spending $64 on two metal clamps for an exhaust tip. So I picked them up from Amazon, same exact size, same everything. They were like, I don't know, $15 for two of them. And it's Amazon Prime, so they'll be here tomorrow. So I can throw them on and be done with it. But yeah, I mean, everything went smoothly except for those exhaust clamps. Really pain in the butt, but stuff happens. He figures the simplest install, always something happens. And you just got to go with the flow and, go from there. So yes, I know, sorry, that was a little bit of a tease with the startup, the cold start, but I promise you there's going to be an actual exhaust video. Just like I normally did my previous exhaust videos, I'm gonna go out, do flybys and revving and everything, so you guys get a good idea. You guys would be so annoyed with me if I didn't put a little bit of a sound clip in the video. Plus, it's pretty late, and I don't want to go out and do any loud flybys or anything like that right now. So I will get that done during this week. So that video will be out at some point this week, probably Wednesday, if not Friday. But either way, way, you guys kind of saw me open the door and close it while I was doing the cold start. And I got to say, it sounds really, really good. It doesn't sound raspy like my Delta Motorworks setup did. And I really do think it's because of the little mid pipe that the AWE mid pipe does have. The Delta, like I said, did not have anything. On a scale of 1 to 10, the AWE Touring with the setup I had was probably about, I would say like a 7 or 8. This is about a 9. So it's definitely louder at startup. It's not drastically different. Like, it definitely still has, a very loud volume when you start it up. But I can tell it has a really, really deep tone compared to the Touring. The Touring is very high pitched. So I will be interested in hearing just how that sounds once I start driving, which will be tomorrow. So a huge shout out to Owen, who actually provided and sold me the AWE track muffler. You guys know I had a little bit of a situation with the previous one that I was trying to get, but Owen came through and he was like, hey man, I got them, and he gave me a really good deal, shipped them out super fast. And they actually got here sooner than expected. So huge shout out to Owen. Thanks, man. I really do appreciate it. But yeah, that's it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions at all, be sure to ask them below. But in the meantime, keep it clean, keep it simple, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.